Hello, Andrew here in La Estancia por ahora. Saturday, the 13th, I think it is. Yeah, the 13th. Uh, just giving you guys an update. Uh, Still got the cold, but no big deal. Still working on the pallet to post, no, pots, pallet to pots project. So it shows once you start doing something, you start figuring out a bit quicker ways to do it. So I've got to do 100 pots from the pallets, and I just came to a, what do you call it, enlightening bit. I figured something out that was uh, revolutionary. Now uh, what I've been doing is basically you get pallets in two sizes mainly, which are 110 centimeters by 110 and 90 versus 90. That's the average. So you get a sort of a 50-50 of those. You get different sizes as well for some, but bigger and smaller, but those usually get kept and they don't get thrown out. And once they get thrown out, the 110s and the 90s, and from them I can get about, out of every 6 pallets I can get 5 boxes. But I found that actually I can improve that slightly, and that's because the oh, damn, sorry about that, finger in the way. The technique I'm using is, for example, this one's from 110, so I cut a 30 length for the width, and this one remains at 80 centimeters. So 30 and 100, and I need 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. I need an average of 11 pieces to do this, for the internal of the box itself. Now that means that I've got leftover wood. Because I've cut 11 of the pieces, I've got 3 left over of the 30 centimeter lengths, which means that every 4th out of every 3 I get enough remainder out of the 30 centimeters that I don't actually have to cut on the 4th one. So now my logic was before that I could get out of the 90s I could get 60 centimeter length pots by 30, 60 by 30, and out of the 110 I could get 80 by 30. Because every 4th one I don't have to cut, I've got remainders from the previous 3 pallets, so 3 pots. I can now have the 90 ones, I can leave them uncut and then have a 90 centimeter long pot, and just use the reminders from the previous cuts to actually do the sides. But that would be the logical thing, so you don't get so many of the small ones. But I decided that that would be illogical, and I went and made a really long one. So this is 110 centimeters, so uncut, 110 long by 30 centimeters wide from previous cuts. So that gives me a really long trough like planter box. I'm not quite sure that actually is any better, but it's just something to do, I guess. When they're all together, will have, the way I'm planning it is to have 1, 2, and 3. So that will give me about a meter garden by however long I want it. And the reason that they're 30 centimeters is because that's the average length that you need for planting stuff like corn, tomatoes, anything. 30, a foot width of space is good enough for them, and the 30 something centimeter dip is good enough for the roots as well. So you can actually have this is mostly for the florals at the moment, but I can actually start planting pumpkins and corn and stuff like that in them with the no dig method, where you just basically put your soil in there, keep it nice and wet, and it makes easier gardening because you don't actually have to keep tilling the soil and doing all that bit. You can just move these things around depending on the season, where you want more sun or where you basically want them to look nicer. It all goes that way. But that was the interesting thing that I came up with today. So far 8 of them out of 100, so I'm not even 10% of the way through. All right, I've talked too much. All right guys, see you, take care of yourselves. Andrew here in La Estancia por ahora.